Eric, your background, there's noise in your background. Tanya, please let us know when everyone has connected.
Okay. Yes, madam, I think we can go. We have about 100 participants online. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, esteemed guests and partners. We are indeed truly privileged to welcome you to this exciting and thought-provoking session of our Leading Edge Insight series, which we call the LEE series. In fact, today we have the opportunity to engage in a powerful African fireside chat that promises to reshape the way we think about capacity development, education, and innovation across the continent. And we are particularly honored to be joined today by a distinguished trailblazer in the field of digital education. And this conversation particularly will be led by none other than our own Dr. Eric Ogunleye, the Director of African Development Institute. Some of you know it as ADI or ICAD. And he will essentially guide us through a discussion that will delve into the game-changing power of digital education. And the insights that will be shared today will be instrumental in basically furthering our collective commitment to scaling up education and capacity enhancement on the continent and within the bank. And we are also particularly thrilled today to announce that the bank has recently entered into a groundbreaking partnership with edX, which we have the founder to be opportuned to have the founder with us today. And basically what this partnership is going to do is to allow us as an African Development Bank to offer massive open online courses to our regional officials of our regional member countries, as well as the staff of the African Development Bank and interested stakeholders. And in particular, this collaboration will help us to basically align with our vision as articulated in our new 10-year strategy to accelerate capacity development on the continent. And through this partnership, we hope to be able to provide just-in-time learning that will help us close the skills gap, enhance our collective capacity, and drive development on the continent. So thank you once again for making time out of your busy schedules, respectively, to join us today. I will hand over at this juncture to Dr. Eric Ogunleye, who will come in and give his official opening remarks, and after which we will have the Africans Fireside Chat. Thank you, and over to you, Dr. Ogunleye. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Namawu. Good afternoon, everyone, distinguished participants, colleagues, and partners. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Oh, excellent. So, good afternoon once again, and good morning, depending on where you're connecting from, especially for our colleagues who are joining us from the US. I am indeed delighted to welcome you to this fourth session in our Leading Edge Insight series. Today's session, which is titled From MOOCs to Micro-Credentials, Empowering Africa's Workforce in the Digital Age, features one of the foremost pioneers in online education, and that is Professor Anant Agarwal, the visionary founder of edX, created by Harvard MIT universities in 2012. This session is an opportunity to delve into transformative educational approaches that can shape Africa's workforce development and drive the continent's broader goals. With Professor Agarwal's unparalleled expertise and global perspective, we will explore innovative solutions that can address Africa's unique challenges and leverage the potential of digital education to empower learners across the continent and the region, of course. We will also explore how digital education can play a pivotal role in the process, focusing on innovative learning models such as micro-credentials, flexible learning, and integration of emerging technologies like AI. We'll also examine the unique challenges and opportunities of implementing e-learning across Africa's diverse contexts and how we can leverage online platforms like edX to enhance our capacity development programs. So the discussions we're going to have today are not merely theoretical, but they are directly aligned and related to the African Development Bank's High Five priorities and the new 10-year strategy. Today's session challenges us to think boldly about how digital education can transform the future of capacity development and contribute to a resilient Africa. So I thank all of you for joining us today. I also encourage you to engage fully in this conversation. We want you to reflect your insights. We also want you to contribute your perspectives. The dynamic exchange that we hope to see today through this platform will indeed assist us to propel us closer to our shared vision of a prosperous, inclusive, and innovative Africa. So thank you once again for joining. And I, just like you, look forward to this very exciting time together this afternoon. Thank you very much, and you are all welcome. So back to you, Namau.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ogunleye, for these insightful introductory remarks. The next segment on our agenda is to have a 1-minute family photo. I will call on all the resource persons and panelists to put on their videos so that we can have a family photo before we delve into the really exciting aspect of our purpose, our reason today. So please put on your photos, your videos, and then we can take the family photo. Bamba, IT, you can let us know when you are ready.
It is okay for the photo. It's done.
It's done. Okay, thank you very much. So over to you, Dr. Ogunleye, to start the fireside chat, the African style fireside chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Lulu. I was waiting to pose for the picture when I heard it's been taken already. Anyway, Bamba, I hope all of us look really nice in the photo. Thank you very much for helping us to take that part of the program. So now we have to move on to what all of us have been waiting for, which is this chat that we're going to have with Professor Agarwal. Again, this is going to be a fireside chat. We're going to really listen to this very phenomenal character in the world of online learning, the founder of edX. For those who may not know edX, edX is an online learning platform that is founded in 2012 by MIT and Harvard, offering very high quality courses, professional certifications, and degree programs from top universities and organizations worldwide. This platform also provides interactive, self-paced learning experiences, blended video lectures, exercises, and online discussions that will help students to acquire new skills and credentials. So let's go straight into the discussion, having had a little bit of a snippet of what edX is all about. So, Professor Agarwal, it's indeed a pleasure to have you on this fireside chat. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent, great. So to start this conversation, I would like you to really introduce yourself to our participants the way you like to be introduced. Who is Professor Anand Agarwal?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. I'm so delighted to join all of our colleagues from the Africa region. When we formed edX in 2012, the goal was to revolutionize education and make it available to people all over the world. And so Africa has always been very close, very near and dear to all our hearts. So my name is Anant Agarwal. I've been a professor at MIT for 37 years. Um, I was a founder of edX and CEO throughout its time. And most recently, when edX was merged into 2U, I became a chief academic officer at the new organization. I know we'll talk a lot more about edX, so let me keep my own introduction just with that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Agarwal, for that very brief introduction. I know that's a very humble one. Thank you. Now, we've met you, we know who you are. Can you then, let's shift and talk a little bit, and that was where you ended. Let's talk a little bit about edX itself. I know I attempted to earlier introduce what edX does, but I know you can give us a bit of a deeper insight into just a brief information about edX. I mean, focusing on the origin, the rationale behind setting it up, the mission, its core objectives, and so on and so forth. Can we get to know a bit more about edX from these different perspectives?
Sure, happy to do that. edX grew out of Harvard and MIT. Harvard and MIT were the founders of edX. We launched edX in early 2012. edX is an online learning platform where some of the top institutions around the world, like Harvard and MIT themselves, Oxford and Cambridge, the World Bank, IMF, and now our partner AFDB itself, offer courses in virtually all disciplines on the platform. And then learners all over the world are learning on the platform. And today, we have over 90 million learners from every single country in the world that are learning on the platform. There are thousands of courses on the platform in topics ranging from AI to soft skills to mathematics to finance and so on. And learners are not only learning on the platform, but they are also earning certificates. So if you pass a course on edX, you get a certificate from MIT or Oxford or other institution. You can take the courses for free. If you want the certification, you have to pay a small fee. We also have micro-credentials where many of these courses are bundled into sequences of 2 or 3 or 4 courses. And we have very innovative new kinds of micro-credentials like micro-masters and micro-bachelors and professional certificates that people are earning on the platform. Micro-credentials like micro-masters and micro-bachelors also lead to credit. And they count towards a bachelor's or master's degree, depending on whether it's a micro-bachelor's or micro-masters. The platform itself has adopted AI in a big way, so I encourage you all to check out the platform. You can go to edx.org, and you can start learning for free on virtually any topic that you like. We also have a fair amount of AI tools on the platform. And one of the cool things is that when you're in a course, you'll see AI summarization, you'll see an AI tutor, so you can interact with the AI tutor. And this AI tutor is not just doesn't answer all your questions. It can be a lot of fun engaging with the tutor. The tutor uses the Socratic method and tries to behave more like an advanced teacher, which oftentimes will ask you a question if you ask a question using a Socratic method rather than just giving you an answer. So the platform is a lot of fun as well. And rather than my describing it, just go out and try it for yourself. We are all learners. I like to joke that, not jokes, very seriously, that learning is a lifetime endeavor, that we should be learning from zero to the rest of our lives. And a place like edX is a valuable place to try out that.
This is really super, Professor Agarwal. It's mind-boggling when you said over 90 million people taking different kind of learning, through the platform. That is super. It's good to know. And I like the concept of ensuring that there is a blend between free part of it where people who do not have money to pay does not that does not that's not a disincentive to learning, and I think I like that. And for me, I think that appears to me like the concept of democratizing learning, which is something that is at the heart of edX. So I'd like to follow up with that part now. Given the fact that edX is really big on democratizing education, ensuring that people have access, whether they can pay or they cannot pay. So how can edX's experience in democratizing education be applied to breaking the barriers, especially given the challenges that we have regarding learning or education in Africa? Issues of cost, issues of language, issues of access are big challenges here. So how can we leverage the experience of edX to ensure that we bridge this gap and we close some of these gaps that we see that is inhibiting education in Africa?
That's an excellent question. Our motivation when we started edX 13 years ago was truly to enable a transformation of education all over the world. And edX was a nonprofit, and as part of that, we made our platform, the edX platform, open source. And so it's called Open edX. And there are over 3,000 websites around the world that use the Open edX platform and develop their own learning. Many nations have adopted Open edX to create national learning initiatives like EDRAC in Jordan. There's the French national platform, FUN, France Université Numérique, platforms in Russia, China, Korea, Hong Kong, really all over the world where people are using the platform to offer learning, even Africa. The MasterCard Foundation has funded a big Pan-African initiative where Open edX is now being developed as a university platform, and there's a big pilot going on in the country of Nigeria, I believe. And so the MasterCard Foundation is funding the development of Open edX as a university platform all across Africa. So that is one. The second approach is that the courses on edX are free. You pay a small amount if you want the micro-credential. And learners all over the world are learning and upskilling. And so this truly democratizes education, no matter where you are in the world. And recently, we've also launched automatic translations into a number of languages. The third part is we have a very significant enterprise organization where many companies and governments are getting subscription licenses on our platform for their employees. So, we've done it across major states and nations as well. So as an example, the state of Andhra Pradesh in India has 1.2 million college students. And all of those students were given access to the edX subscription catalog, and they were required to take one edX course every semester, and that course counted for credit towards their education. So efforts like this may be more significant, and we would be delighted to work with African institutions and the governments to see how we can bring this education to the students in colleges from some of the top universities and embed that education into degrees, just like we did in Andhra Pradesh. So there are a number of ways in which we are promoting the democratization and adoption of education, and not just education, high quality education all over the world.
Yes, I think listening to you, I noticed that one of the ways you've done this is through this open learning, open source platform that you have developed. I believe that must have significantly contributed to this democratization you are talking about and ensuring that there's more access to people who are willing to learn. And I like your concept about learning being a lifetime experience from year zero until we die. There's always one thing or the other to learn. So now, I think this open source uh, will I say, feature of edX will really, really be a big thing for African countries. And I'd like us to explore that a bit more deeper. So can you tell us a bit more about this open source platform thing that you're talking about? How can we leverage that to ensure that we'll improve the quality of education in Africa? Remember, issues of vocational skills development, upskilling, and so reskilling that we've been talking about. How can we ensure that we use this feature of edX to improve the quality of education in Africa?
So really, there's two ways to do that. One is you can adopt the Open edX platform and use that to develop your own courses, or to use that as a learning platform within universities, like the effort with the MasterCard Foundation, along with Arizona State University, where the platform is being deployed across universities. And it's a free, I should have pointed out, it's an open source platform and it's free. You don't have to pay anybody to adopt the platform. So that is on the learning platform side. The second approach is the content. Like we did with the state of Andhra Pradesh in India with 1.2 million students, universities and frankly the whole continent has an opportunity to adopt the catalog of edX courses and embed some percentage of those into the curricula of students who are studying in colleges. So if students are studying in colleges in Andhra Pradesh, every student was taking one edX course every semester. And that can be done in the same way where every student takes one international course. So you're taking many courses from your professors at the university or college, and then you take one course from an international institution. And as the whole world becomes more international and people are traveling all over the world and boundaries are breaking down, it's important for people to get the international perspective. And so both from a quality standpoint and internationalization standpoint, adopting some of these courses within university curricula can be a big step forward for an entire nation or even a continent.
That sounds great because in Africa, given the population, I think open source and also the challenge of cost. So you have a large population, and coupled with that is the fact that it's really, $1, $5 could mean a lot, for some people, which could actually be some of the challenges some people are having, making it difficult for them to have access to this type of quality education that edX offers. Now, what about the issue of partnership? I'm just thinking that what do you think will be the role of the private sector, especially? Because these are for profit, and when they make profit, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to give back to the society by supporting this kind of endeavors. So I'm just wondering what role you think such an industry partnership with a platform like edX can do to ensure that there's an alignment between education and job market needs. Because one of the challenges we have in Africa that makes unemployment to be high in some contexts is the fact that there's no such alignment. So what do you think can be done to ensure this partnership, this alignment works, especially when you look at some contexts, fragile countries, countries where there's limited infrastructure, where there's limited connectivity, and so on and so forth?
But this is a very good question. And this is not just the whole challenge of skilling and college students, when they graduate, getting a job, having the right skills, that, you mentioned that's a challenge in Africa. Let me promise you that that is not just an African challenge. That is a planet scale challenge. If you talk to companies, as I travel around the world, I talk to companies and governments all around the world. And I'm hearing from everybody that we have a real challenge where students who are graduating from college are not ready for jobs. They simply don't have the skills that gets them started in their career. It's a huge skilling challenge, and the students are not job ready. And the reasons for that may be multifold, where many of the universities may not be teaching cutting edge material, or they may be more theoretical. And the students are often not getting those critical skills that are needed for jobs. In many countries, I read a report from India, where the report from India said that a majority of the students in India are not job ready. And in fact, what companies do is that they often hire the students, but then they put them through a university, for their own internal university, for 6 months or 1 year. So for example, a company called Wipro has this thing called Wipro University. And so it boggles my mind that what are we as students doing in college and universities when, to get a job, we have to go to another university within the company. And so this upskilling challenge, this challenge of having the right skills to get a job, is a nationwide, a planet-wide challenge, not just an African challenge. So what can we do about it? So upskilling and reskilling people for the future of work, that is the raison d'etre of edX. That is the key reason that we founded edX. If there's one thing that we want to do well, it's that. So how does that happen? So the professional certificates and other micro-credentials on edX, they all lead to specific skills that make people job ready. So for example, we have a micro-credential from IBM on a professional certificate in data science. This enables people who complete the certificate to be skilled and enable them to get a entry-level job in data science. And so these things can be very helpful to people get the right skills. Similarly, we have certificates in project management or in finance, certificates in AI, prompt engineering. These are all cutting-edge 21st century skills, where if you have those skills and put them on your resume, those make you job ready. And we have any number of stories from our students where, when they applied to a company, and the company saw a certificate from a top institution on a job-ready skill area, they did much better in the interview process and eventually got a job. And so I think augmenting your university education with some of these skills can be very helpful. And in fact, I'll give you one example of a partnership that we have. You mentioned partnerships. And I think it's these kinds of partnerships that are very important. So we have a partnership with the D.Y. Patil University in Pune in India. They're both in Bombay, Mumbai, and Pune. And in their MBA program, what they did is that they embed a MicroMasters as part of the whole MBA program, a MicroMasters from edX. So when the students graduate, they not only get an MBA from D.Y. Patil University, they also get this micro-credential from edX and our partner universities like MIT or University of California, San Diego, and they can put that on their resume. And so when they go out and interview for a job, the companies are saying, wow, so you have a data science certificate from IBM or from a company or from a university. And that really helps them do better in terms of getting a job. So such a partnership between either a country, a whole continent, a university, and an organization like edX can really enable students to top it up, to get that. If you think of the whole education as an ice cream, then that skilling certificate can be a cherry on top. And so that helps them showcase what they've done to the employers with having the right skills. So I think such partnerships can be very helpful. I think you may be on mute, Dr.
Eric,
Eric.
you're muted.
Oh, my apologies. I was saying I like the icing on the cake. You're talking about the cherry on top. That's usually the starting point to really eat a cake that is very delicious. So so now you mentioned about this micro degrees earlier, and I think this is very interesting to me, and I'm sure to all our listeners. So the question there is, what is actually micro degrees? Or what are micro degrees? And more importantly, do you see it as relevant given your experience in Africa and in other developing contexts? Do you think that would be relevant for the upscaling we're hoping to achieve on the continent in Africa?
So micro degrees or micro credentials are extremely relevant in the African context. So what is a micro degree? So you know what a degree is. You go to college, you spend 3, 4, 5 years in college, and you get a bachelor's degree. You go to a college, you get a master's degree by spending 1 year or 2 years. Those are degrees. What we have found as we talk to universities and companies all around the world is that, and particularly people who are in colleges or people who are working, is that if they want to learn a new skill, so the whole world is changing dramatically. Today, everybody needs to get an AI skill. And 5 years ago, AI wasn't on the horizon in terms of on top of people's minds. Today, AI is on everybody's mind, and everybody needs to upskill in AI. And so university degrees don't change very fast. And so oftentimes these micro credentials can help. A micro credential or a micro degree is smaller than a degree. It is usually you can get that in a time frame of about 3 months. You can get that, so it's short. You can get that completely online. So let's say, for example, you are 30 years old, you have a job and you have a child, and you're working in a company or the government. It's very difficult for you to get that new skill by going back to a university and spending 1 or 2 years in college. There's no way. Just you put yourself in the same shoes. There's no way you can go back to college for 2 years to get a degree in AI or something. So these micro credentials, micro degrees are online. They're short, so you can do them while you're working. These are all skills focused. And so you can get a new skill. They're short, and they're from top institutions around the world. And many of them are from companies like Google and IBM and Microsoft and others. So you can get this certificate as well for it and put that on your resume. So even while you're working, you can spend 2 or 3 months, upskill, get a credential, and it's a very small amount of money. Degrees, you have to spend 1 or 2 years. And if you're in countries like the US or Europe, they can cost a lot of money as well. But a micro credential is very low cost. For a small amount of money, much smaller than the cost of a degree, you can get the micro degree. So the micro degree or micro credential effectively solves the following problems in terms of skilling. One, it is short. Second, it is inexpensive. Third, it is skills focused. And fourth, it is completely flexible. You can do it online. So it solves these 4 problems with upskilling that people face.
Super. And I think those 4 challenges are really, really some of the constraints that is actually making it difficult for a lot of people to get the skills, these certificates that are required in the job place, especially in African context. And one thing that was running through my mind as I was listening to you, I can already see that technology, especially emerging technology, AI and so on, would play very critical role in making this to happen. So can you shed a bit light on that? What you think would be the role of these emerging technologies like AI And how can Africans, harness these emerging technologies to personalize the experience in these diverse contexts that they find themselves to enhance learning?
The whole world of technology is moving very, very quickly. And there are new skills that pop up that you have to learn. And the new skill today is AI. And everybody has to learn a little bit about AI. It doesn't matter what job you're doing, whether you're a risk assessor at a bank, or whether you're an accountant at a bank, or whether you're a FP&A person at a company, doesn't matter. Everybody needs to learn at least something about AI. And frankly, much like everyone's learned how to use Google or go to a browser, prompt engineering will be the new skill. So everybody should go and learn about prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is a way of how you interact with AI and get AI to help you in your work. And so we have a free course on prompt engineering. It's called Introduction to Prompt Engineering. And you can spend 1 or 2 hours and you can learn enough about how to interact with AI. You don't need deep knowledge about AI. You need to learn how to interact with AI. And frankly, everybody needs to learn about prompt engineering so that you could use AI as a co-pilot in your own work. We are partnering with Microsoft in a big effort in a big effort coming up, where we want to educate millions of people around the world in AI and co-pilots and related topics. And so this is something that everybody needs to learn. So the important thing about AI is that not only do you need to learn how to use AI in your daily life, but you can also use AI to help you in your learning. So on our platform, for instance, when you go to edX.org and you're learning, AI will appear as a learning assistant to help you. When you go to edX.org, the homepage of our website, an AI learning assistant will help you select the right course. So let's say you don't quite know what you want to learn. You can go to our homepage and you can ask the AI chatbot. You can say, hey, I'm currently a forecaster at Africa Development Bank, or I'm a forecaster at some other institution. What are the kind of things? Do you have any courses on that? Or accounting, any courses on finance or accounting? And you can have a conversation about what you want to learn. So that's just one example of how we are using AI in helping learners discover the right things to learn and also help them learn while they're inside a course.
Super. Super. I think I quite agree with that. But there's something that is again running through my mind. Earlier, you had talked about the fact that edX had partnered or is partnering with a lot of institutions, especially outside of Africa. For sure, I'm not sure there's been such a very strong collaboration, but like Dr. Alulu mentioned earlier, we have initiated this partnership and we've signed an agreement that shows that we are kickstarting this partnership between edX and the African Development Bank. And this will offer a lot of opportunities for our colleagues within the bank and also members of our regional member countries to leverage to improve their learning. But I'd just like you to talk a little bit about this. You've talked about the partnership you're forging with institutions outside of Africa. So let's look inward within Africa. What do you think, what kind of partnership do you think edX can forge with African institutions at institutional level, at country level, even at individual level, to ensure that the global educational resources you mentioned that are within edX can be useful and helpful for capacity development in Africa?
Another excellent question, Dr. Ogunle. So we have institutional partners from all over the world, including several from Africa. Our latest partnership in Africa is with the Africa AFDB. And so we are super excited about launching that partnership. We have similar partnerships with other institutions in Africa, for example, University of Cape Town in South Africa. We also partnered with the universities in Johannesburg. We're partnered with universities in the northern part of the continent. And so we are very excited about our partnerships in Africa. And so we have partnerships with regional banks and universities all over the world. So, for example, in India, and for some reason, we seem to have focused a lot on banks and finance institutions. So, in India, we are partnered with the State Bank of India, for example. In the US, we are partnered, although these are global institutions, World Bank, IMF, and in Latin America with the Development Bank in Latin America. So we are truly a global institution, and we're very excited about a new partnership with AFDB as well. And of course, if you go to edx.org, as Dr. Namabu just put into the chat, you can go to our partners page and you can look at all our look at who all the partners are on edX. We have 250 institutional partners who are offering content on edX from all over the world.
Okay, really super. I think we should be drawing this very exciting and prolific conversation to a close. Thank you for your excellent answers to all the questions. But maybe a very good and convenient note to end the conversation would be to take a quick look at this issue about virtual versus hybrid learning environment. Of course, we know this is a new thing. It's a new concept globally, and especially in Africa, which is provoked by COVID-19, of course, as we know. But just want to pick your brain a little bit as we conclude and wind up this conversation to say, now, what lessons do you see based on your experience in running these different diverse trainings using this platform, which is virtual, which could be hybrid? What would you like to share in terms of your experience, in terms of the effectiveness of the virtual versus hybrid learning environment that the bank will really want to, launch, especially as we are now going full-fledged to have a virtual capacity development academy? What advice will you give us on how we can proceed?
So learning can be done the very traditional form of learning, which is physical. You go to a classroom and a professor gives you a lecture. I've been doing that for 37 years at MIT. Learning can be completely virtual, where you can go online and you can learn online, where you watch short videos, you can do problem sets, you can do labs through simulations and so on. And then the third model is hybrid, where you do some physical learning and you do some learning virtually. So for example, you may watch the videos online, but you gather in a group with students and solve problems in the classroom. So that is hybrid. Ample research has now shown that virtual learning can be as good or better than physical learning. There have been any number of studies. We conducted A/B tests even at MIT, where I took my own circuits course and offered it to half the class purely physically in the classroom and half the class virtually. And the results in the final exam were pretty indistinguishable. And virtually, the students have a lot more flexibility. And we were shocked to learn that the virtual modality lowered the stress of students by one whole standard deviation. So somehow the virtual learning is lowering stress of students. Hybrid learning can be the optimal approach, where you're doing some online and some virtual learning. And so, my recommendation to people is to try all forms of learning. Just like work today, after COVID in particular, work has now become hybrid. People are working physically, people are working remotely and virtually, and people are also doing hybrid forms of work. And so work has become hybrid and virtual and physical. Similarly, learning has also become hybrid, virtual, and physical. And I encourage everybody to be learning physically and virtually as well, because particularly for their future, it is going to be very hard to learn physically, because once you're working, how do you take off for 3 months or 6 months and go to a campus? It's very hard. So for lifelong learning, virtual learning can be very, very helpful. So my recommendation is that not to limit yourself, but explore all forms of learning, because they will help you at various parts of your life.
Very super and excellent way to conclude this very interesting chat. Thank you for that recommendation. We'll take them to heart, and we'll ensure that we do our best across the continent. We'll sound it loud and clear to our clients to let them know what are these wise, counsel coming from those someone like you who has done a lot of work in this area. So once again, Professor Agarwal, it's really been a pleasure sharing this platform with you. I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much for your patience in taking all the questions and responding to them I think I'm satisfied with the answers you gave, and we'll listen to the audience to see what will be their feedback, especially with respect to some questions that might follow. So once again, thank you so much for your time. Please still hang on there. Please give us a few more minutes because at some point there will be some Q&A, and I'm sure our colleagues who are connected would like to ask you one or two questions. So let me turn it back now to Dr. Namawu Alolo, who will take us further on the program. Dr. Alolo, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Prof, for this insightful session. We've heard a lot. You've enlightened us a lot about digital learning, online learning versus physical learning. We've taken in a lot, and there are a lot of burning questions. Some have been put on the chat box, and some are waiting to be asked directly to you. So what I will do is we have a discussant, Dr. Sheila Jagannathan, whom I'm going to revise a little bit to give you only 3 to 5 minutes. If you can do it shorter, that would be great, so that we can have the opportunity to hear more from the audience, because there are a lot of burning questions that the audience would like to have. So Sheila, please proceed. And after that, we'll open the microphone to the audience, and you can come in with your questions. Let me just use this opportunity to say that there's a translation button at the More section on your screens. Please use the translation buttons when you are coming in to ask your question. Feel free to ask your questions in French or English, and we'll have the appropriate translation accordingly. Thank you. Sheila?
Thank you. Thank you. And want to start, I'll try to keep it as short as I can, although I planned for 10 minutes, I'll condense this, but very grateful for the AFDB for organizing this enlightening webinar, and super thrilled and honored to share the platform with Dr. Agarwal, whose innovations, as you have seen. And I think now Dr. Eric and Dr. Namawu would realize why we started the conversation to get edX on board for AFDB as a critical tool for capacity building. And it's taken a while, but we stuck with it because of all the benefits. Many of the things Dr. Agarwal said is we're just about finalizing the contract. We have to set up and so on. And after maybe all that's over, starting in June, we will be integrating everything you said, including the chatbot, hopefully, as well as the courses. As many of you may know, I have worked almost for 3 decades at the World Bank and also been an advisor for IMF. And so I just want to share a few insights on how these institutions, which are very similar to AFDB, have used MOOCs. So one of the big things that both World Bank, particularly World Bank, but also IMF did, is really integrate MOOC capacity into their entire capacity building strategy. And that is an example. So the World Development Report that the World Bank puts out every year, it takes a year to do. They spend several million in getting feedback and support from the world's expert on topics like climate change or digital dividends or public-private partnerships or data for results or financing for development or from IMF, public financial management and so on. But unfortunately, before we started using MOOCs, these products, the World Development Reports, the authors would travel to, say, 5 countries, meet 50 people in each country, and the dissemination would be to 500. So starting in 2016, I worked with the Development Economics Group at the bank and later with the IMF to make sure that every flagship, especially the WDR, I take that back, not every flagship, WDR is followed by a MOOC as part of the dissemination strategy. What this resulted in is that each MOOC was participated by 30 to 40,000 participants from 201 countries, including, interestingly, 30% from Africa, and fostering robust discussion and global challenges. So I want to tell you the power of the MOOC. Design, and the second thing I wanted to touch on is design is critical for the MOOC. It's, as I keep saying, it's not enough that you bring a technology and then expect it to work. The pedagogy and the design and the follow-up and all of that is critical. And this is also very important for the MOOCs. In fact, one innovation we did at the World Bank was to have every MOOC have two tracks, a policymaker track and a citizen track. And there are many others that we don't have time to discuss, namely innovative community engagement, incorporating interactivity through collaborative learning, and most of all, accessibility and flexibility. So the final point I'll make is some of the benefits and impacts that World Bank and IMF have realized, which AFDB will shortly realize, are A, we talked about democratization of education, B, reduction in costs and more consistent high quality learning, flexibility for participants, and reach. The other one is an improvement in education quality and innovation. So innovation also not only comes from pedagogy, but through data. And edX uses data analytics extensively to improve for professional development for RMC countries and their stakeholders, certification and credentials, and also building a community of learners that millions that Dr. Anand talked about could become a part of the community that AFDB and the virtual campus it thrives in. So these are, I find that this is a very momentous time that we're almost there in signing the contract, bringing edX into the AFDB milieu of options for capacity building. It's also momentous, and thank you very much, Dr. Agarwal, for joining us in this journey to present it. And finally, I will say that it's starting. Now we have to really work hard to implement all of these things, which took about a couple of years in the World Bank until and the IMF until it became mainstream and part of the capacity building strategy. I'll stop there. Okay. Anant, I've sent you two questions that were in the chat. So maybe while participants start voicing their questions, you could answer that if you wish.
Where did you send them? Which channel did you send them?
Just now through email I sent them.
Oh, through email, I see.
Okay, thank you. I think I'll take it from here, Sheila. Thanks a lot, Dr. Agarwal. I have I've taken all the questions that have come on the chat box. And what I would want to do is that we would like to give the opportunity to the audience to express themselves so that they can have a feel of you, essentially. So Tanya, if you could open the microphones, and we'll allow participants to ask questions. And if after the physical questions have been asked, then I can, and there's still pending questions from the written ones, I will come in with that. So please, we had Sharif post a number of questions. Sharif, do you want to come in with your questions?
Sharif, are you online? We can give you the floor if you want to come in. Sharif?
Oui, je ne sais pas si vous m'entendez.
Oui, Sharif, allez-y.
So thank you very much. Yes, because I'm right now I'm at the University of Ottawa in Canada. So first of all, I just wanted to thank Professor Agavar for his brilliant introduction. So thank you for this. So my first question, so I have three questions, in fact. So the first question is, in the context of Africa, so the MOOC will be a culture shift compared to the traditional way of education. So for better structure and skills development, do you have any one-on-one session using the conference room, such as Big Blue Button for students?
Thank you. Thank you for the question. On edX, we have the MOOCs. The MOOCs tend to be completely asynchronous, so that people can come in and learn at their own time. They can focus their learning at any time of the day and so on. We also have, so during these MOOCs, for example, there are no synchronous sessions like a webinar or a Zoom or Big Blue Button, because those would imply synchronicity. And all the courses and so on are asynchronous. However, we have also executive education on edX, and we also have degrees on edX. Both the executive education and degrees, those have a lot of synchronous sessions where with Zoom or other modality, there are group sessions where students get to interact with each other and with the professor. Now, with executive education and degrees, with the synchronous sessions, those tend to be a heavy lift in terms of human resources and effort. And so they cost money. So with MOOCs, we're able to offer them for free, where you only pay for the certificate. But the courses that have synchronous lessons and Zoom sessions and so on, there people have to pay upfront. So that's how the trade-off pans out.
Excellent, Dr. Garwal. So what I'll do is that, colleagues, if you have a number of questions, please ask them at a go so that we don't have to go back and forth. Dr. Garwal could take all of your questions, each one of your questions in one slot, so that we don't have to go back and forth. So the next person on my screen is Richard Sher. Richard, if you have a number of questions, please pose all of them at the same time, and then Dr. Agawa will respond to them. Some may be overlapping, so it's better.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. It's indeed fascinating. I just have a general question about upskilling. And of course, upskilling and having new methods of learning is great, and it's definitely part of the future. That being said, if everybody upskills, don't we have, I'm sorry, I cannot turn on my camera, by the way. I do think it's maybe disconnected. That being said, is there not like a threat of having inflation of knowledge? So if everybody's upskilling and there's still not enough jobs, don't we just create another problem that we had in the past with education that wasn't adapted to the workforce? That being said, of course, it is one of the main avenues forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
The reason I'm smiling is that what a nice problem that would be to have, where everybody in the world had the right skills and we had a surfeit of knowledge, so to speak. Oh my God, that would be nirvana. It would be like I would be in heaven. I don't think that day is ever going to come. But we have such a big gap in terms of the jobs available and the skills that are needed compared to what people are getting. And so there's millions and millions of jobs out there, and people just don't have the right skills. So I think we have a long way to go before we run into the problem that you have. And frankly, the world is changing so quickly that by the time, so let's take AI. If the whole continent of Africa gets upskilled in AI, I promise you that within 5 years, there will be a new form of AI or something else that will come up. And so I like to joke that we have to keep running hard just to stay in place. So we have to keep learning continuously because newer and newer things keep coming up. And so just staying in place at the same position is going to be difficult, and we have to keep learning all the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Daniel, please come in.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Professor Anand. And I must also indicate that I'm one of your students. I joined about over 10 years ago when I did my first course on edX. And it's been over 20 something courses on your line. But I have two questions that I want to just clarity on. As we want to leverage that platform as AFDB, I wanted you to maybe go deeper on maybe on your engagement with IMF and World Bank, and how, let's say, participants who are actually led onto your platform by IMF or World Bank get that exemption with a code, so they are not forced to pay on the platform, but they can still do it and still receive certificate from either IMF or World Bank, and even the other development banks as well. And my second one has to do with the issue of accreditation that currently becomes an issue. I see universities like University of London, London University Economics, and others, and even US universities have started these macro degrees and even masters in MBA online. One question that comes up is the accreditation of these programs, especially online programs. How are you addressing these areas so that people don't log on, complete an MBA online on the edX, and at the end of the day, their certificate will be worthless? So these are the two questions I wanted you to, if you could just, how can we leverage on the experience with IMF and World Bank and also the accreditation issues? Thank you very much.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations, Danielle, on being such a prolific lifelong learner for over 10 years with edX. And thank you for sharing your story. So as I mentioned earlier, you can learn for free on edX, where the courses are basically free. And then if you want the certification, you have to pay a small fee, and depends on the institution that offers the course, that the fee amount can vary. We also offer financial scholarships on the platform, where if some of the students are not able to afford even the low price for a certificate, they can apply for a scholarship, and they get a discounted rate for the certificate. At the end of the day, everything cannot be completely free, because our university partners and institutional partners who are creating the content, they also need to be able to sustain their efforts. Otherwise, otherwise it would be very difficult for people to continue sustaining the courses. Even if people don't make a lot of money, they're just looking to at least sustain and keep the lights on. And so some amount of revenue is very, very important. The second part of your question was about accreditation. If I understood it correctly, we have close to 200 degrees being offered completely online, and in topics ranging from undergraduate degrees from London School of Economics to MBAs from UNC Chapel Hill. A lot of these degrees are completely online, of course. We also have these micro-credentials that are accredited, in that if you complete them and you get admitted into a degree program, the credits can be counted towards the degree program. And I think even online, accreditation is pretty well understood. We have virtual proctoring that we use for our MicroMasters and some of the accredited courses, so that the veracity of the student and the work can be verified. So Daniel, correct me if I did not get your second question, but I think that should answer it.
Thank you. Thank you. Indeed, it did answer. We have Franklin Lotte. Franklin, can you come in?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Dr. Alolo, and thank you, Agawal, for this presentation. I'm one of your students too. Actually, I got my first certificate 2014, It was a course of entrepreneurship with Professor Bill Olet of MIT. I think you might know him personally. But I'm really interested today on that issue of micro degrees, which I think are personally very relevant in the African context with lots of micro businesses. But I wonder about the acceptance of these micro degrees in the African job market, which I think are still highly focused on traditional long degree. I wonder if you've met such difficulties in other areas around the world, like maybe in India, and what advice you may suggest on additional policies or support that could be provided to government or AFDB to really get this approach of micro degrees to be impactful in the African context? Thank you.
A very good question, Franklin. And again, congratulations on your edX experience with my good friend and colleague Bill Olet from MIT in entrepreneurship. The micro credentials and these micro degrees, we've been offering them on edX now for over a dozen years. And you're right. It would be nice if the whole world would accept these micro credentials, often in lieu of degrees. But degrees continue to be the currency of education. And the companies and governments, whether it's in the US, in Africa, all over the world, are still looking for the degree, because the degree gives you a broad-based education, not just a specific skill. So I think I'm pretty convinced that the degrees are here to stay. I don't think that the degrees are going away anytime soon, if ever. However, the role that micro-credentials have begun to play is like a cherry on top. If the degree can be seen as the bowl of ice cream, the micro-credential can be what attracts a company. So if you have a degree from a university and then you have a professional certificate, for example, from Google Cloud or from MIT or University of Cape Town, and you put that on your resume, when you're interviewing, the employers do take a look at that. It shows the employer that you are learning outside of your degree, that you have picked up some important skills in the area that you're interested in. And so these can be, and I've talked to any number of employers, and while a micro-credential just in and of itself is not enough, but combined with a degree, they can help you get a job and make you stand out from all the people that apply.
Thank you, Prof. I think we have the last hand on. That is Eric. Eric, please proceed, and then we'll come to the written questions. Eric Kanyanzari.
Oui, merci, je vous entends. Je ne sais pas si vous m'entendez. Je suis au Burundi. Actuellement, je suis en formation sur la budgétisation prudentielle. Et je trouve que participer dans un cours en ligne, c'est bénéfique en cours d'emploi. Et je voudrais demander la question, la stratégie de la Banque africaine de développement. Directement, j'adresse la question à Daniel qui organise nos cours pour que ce genre de plateforme comme edX puisse être bénéfique parce que nous constatons qu'on a des problèmes parfois de connexion. Par exemple, le matin, on avait des problèmes de connexion. Avec ce genre de plateforme, les cours sont en ligne et on peut les suivre au fur et à mesure suivant notre disponibilité. Donc, je voudrais demander la stratégie de la Banque africaine, comme on a entendu que la Banque mondiale, le FMI le font, que la stratégie de la Banque africaine de développement pour mettre des modules en ligne, comme ça, l'apprentissage devient facile dans le renforcement de capacité. Merci.
Okay, thank you. I think this is addressed to Eric. Eric, I don't know whether you're there. If not, I can come in the interest of time to just highlight that indeed, as we mentioned earlier on, we have entered into a partnership agreement with edX, and part of the programs that we'll be running will be the Public Financial Management Academy, under which the Prudential budgeting falls. So we'll be having a lot more courses. The PFMA Academy itself, the courses and the modules that have been, I'm repeating myself. I don't know whether, Tanya, can you hear me? There's echo.
Yes, I can hear you. Is there anyone with you in the room, the same room?
No, it's just
Okay.
me. Okay. All right. So basically, we are in the process of developing MOOCs on the PFMA, but also other courses that we provide in the African Development Bank, such as the project cycle management, the macroeconomic policy management. So these are in progress. I think that's the short answer. You can reach out to us bilaterally, and then we can give you more details on it.
So, Dr. Namabu, maybe I can address some of
sure.
the second part of his question.
Okay, sure.
So once the AFDB offers these courses on the edX platform, they get the benefit of all the platform features. So, for example, we have a mobile platform, so the courses will be available on your mobile platform for mobile use. On the mobile device and also on the laptop, you can download the videos. And the mobile device, you can download a lot of the course and you can view it offline as well. So all of these features will come automatically to AFDB courses.
All right, thank you. There was one last hand. I think it's Mo. Mo. Do you want to come in with your last question before we go to the written questions?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. My name is Steven Kimo from Monrovia, Liberia. I work as Assistant Director for Budget at the Central Bank of Liberia. I was privileged to jump into edX sometime 2021, and I was actually looking for a course in budgeting, and I came across a course that was being sponsored by the IMF. Not the IMF, the IMF. So I did that public financial management course there, and then because I was just a budget officer, not the director. So when I submitted my certificate to HR and updated my file, there was an invitation from the African Development Bank for the PFM series training for 18 months. And because I've taken the initial courses online with edX, I was one of those that was recommended for the program. Unfortunately, I participated in a program, one of the valedictorian came out successfully, my colleague. And following that, I got promoted from officer to a director. And now I manage the bank's budget. But I still continue my studies online. I've done other courses on EDX, the SDR, and few other courses, even in accounting and other courses I've done there and update my file. So it helps me. I don't have to travel abroad to go for special studies to improve on my work. Take note of my challenges on the job and go right on EDX and other platforms alike and search for courses that can help me improve my skill in that direction. And that's how I've been able to improve on the work I've been doing, and management have been very impressed. So I want to use this time to just thank all of you for the work you do. It's impacting our lives across Africa. And in addition to that, I use the knowledge I gained to share with my colleague in office space as well. So there are guys who had no idea about budget, today they're able to at least work within a budget session. So I just thought to share that testimony of the impact your work is doing. Please keep it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that note, Stephen. Really, really appreciate that. And really excited that you were able to use the budgeting courses and then use that in your job and then get selected as a result of that. It's a great answer to the previous question as well, which is how do we get organizations to recognize this? And in fact, if you go and type budgeting in the search bar of edX.org, you see a whole list of courses come up from the IMF, from New York Institute of Finance and other places. So that is just an example of how you can learn. Type what you want to learn, and you'll see a lot of courses. Thank you again, Stephen.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Anand. We have a series of questions on the chat box, which I have basically pulled out for you. So number one, I'll just pose them to you. Sharif says that Africa is going through innovation and transformation. Could you please let us know if the edX courses that are tailored for strategies to optimize the commercialization of intellectual property and creation of spin-offs for economic growth? So can you take us about this?
Sure. I did see your question earlier. So I went to edX.org and I typed intellectual property, and several courses on intellectual property and commercialization showed up. So looks like we do have some courses. I did not have first-hand knowledge of it, but I searched it, and it looks like there are some courses available on intellectual property and commercialization. But that's the extent of my knowledge right now.
Okay, thank you. I think colleagues that are connected participants can go in there to do a bit of a deep dive to find out what is more there. And then the next question from Saj, I'd like to know the duration of these micro masters and certificates and different specialties you also offer.
So the courses on edX range very widely in duration. We have some courses like prompt engineering, which might be a 1 hour or 2 hour course. And then we have some programs like some of our MicroMasters are 6 months long. And so it could be 1 hour. Some professional certificates are a month. Generally, to get a professional certificate, it's about a month's worth of time, maybe 1 month to 2 months worth of time that you have to spend. The MicroMasters tend to be slightly longer. They could be 4 months to 8 months. But note that many of the courses on edX are asynchronous, so you can learn at your own pace. So if you learn very quickly, you can finish the whole thing in 2 weeks. Or if you don't have much time and you can only spend small amounts of time, then you can take 1 year or even 2 years to complete a course. So it's very flexible. And that is one of the big advantages of a platform like this.
Okay. So basically it's self-paced.
It's self-paced. Most courses are self-paced, but there are some that are not.
Okay. Okay. Well noted. And then the other one is whether there will be, you have some presentations around the what you have given us, or should we direct the audience to basically visit the website for everything that you have told us about edX today?
I think, I don't have a presentation I can point to you handily. But if you go to the website, you can see that. There's also various videos that you can watch. I gave a TED talk that described edX. So if you do some Google searches, you will likely see some videos and other materials where you can learn more. But the website, edX.org website, has a lot of information that you can learn.
Sure. So some of the participants are saying that from their location, they are not able to access degrees, BS degrees online from their location. Is there a particular reason? Could it be bandwidth issues? And maybe just to combine it with another question that says that how will edX basically be able to ensure that there's a continental qualification framework are aligned, or frameworks are aligned with edX in such a way that the universities can offer these edX courses as credits to their students. So maybe you can take since we have
sure. On the first question, we have quite a few bachelor's degrees on our platform from London School of Economics, for example. And I don't know why you're not able to access them, because I know that you have to apply, and if you get admitted, you have to apply for a degree program, and there's an admissions process. And I know that the London School of Economics degrees have students taking it from all over the world. So I'm not sure why you were not able to access it. And this is perhaps a question that you could follow up with learner support on edX, or if you can send it through AFDB colleagues to me, I can look into it.
Okay.
And then on the second part of the question, the various accreditation frameworks are very different around the world. And ultimately, the local universities make a determination as to whether they want to offer credit. And so if there is a group of universities, so for example, if AFDB says, look, let's get a group of universities together, or maybe do a Pan-African project where we promote the adoption of these courses for accreditation and credit within the universities, that is something that we would love to work with you on. We would be delighted to work. So we have worked on many of these accreditation frameworks, and most of the features that these accreditation frameworks require, we support on our platform. So for example, the frameworks might say that, look, there has to be an exam, there has to be graded assignments. So we have all of that. So oftentimes it is following up on these frameworks. So we would be happy to collaborate on a project like that.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. I think I'll just summarize the last two questions for you so that you can give us in 1 minute, and the director will come in with his closing remarks. So basically, it's been said that a question is that on one hand, e-learning platforms provide state-of-the-art learning and innovative practices, but on the other hand, they miss the diversity of experiences and cultural backgrounds, which in-person learning can offer. How do we accommodate this in terms of value addition? And then the last one is that going forward, we need to train job creators rather than job seekers. What is your perspective on this? So in about a minute or so, if you could just summarize this, and we can engage the audience later on and pass it on to you. Thank you.
Sure. Both very good questions. On the first question, I must respectfully disagree with the person who asked the question. The question was, aren't physical learning experience more diverse than virtual learning experiences? That is not necessarily the case. For example, and particularly when the virtual learning experience fosters diversity. So on the edX platform, for example, I teach three courses on circuits and electronics myself from MIT. And I can talk about those three courses. So in the very first offering of those courses in 2012, 155,000 students took that course. These students hailed from 162 countries. So there was one course, and there were students from 162 countries in that course. We have a discussion forum in the course when students are all talking to each other. And I still remember with fascination, there was a question asked by a student from somewhere in America. And a student from Pakistan, a student from Ethiopia, a student from India, a student from Japan, they were all engaged in discussions, and they came up with the answer. So in many of these cases, some of the countries are at war with each other, but the students are all working together and collaboratively solving problems. So to me, the diversity can be very incredible, particularly because of the discussion forum where we foster engagement of the students. And then the second question, I forget. Can you remind me of the second question, Dr. Namavu?
You are muted, Madam Namau.
We need to train job
Oh,
creators.
yes, that's right. Yes, I completely agree. I think we need to train providers in addition to job seekers. And we have a number of courses for HR professionals. We have a number of courses for teachers on teacher training. We have an amazing professional certificate program from Georgia Tech on how teachers can apply AI to become better teachers. And so a lot of courses in human resources, a lot of courses in training in the workforce. So we certainly have a lot of courses that train the trainers, so to speak. I'm sure we could use more of them, but certainly there are quite a few.
Okay, thank you so much. I think we have exhausted you today, Dr. Anand. So I will turn over to Eric, Eric to come in with his closing remarks. Dr. Ogunleye.
Okay, I'm back. So thank you very, very much, Professor Agawal, and also Dr. Namawu. And many thanks also to you for your earlier, very insightful presentation to Sheila. It's been a very interesting session in today's Leading Edge Insight series. So as we conclude this very insightful discussion and session, I would like to really, really extend my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Anant Agarwal. Finding time to come to share this invaluable experience you've had and expertise you've gained over the years with us is indeed humbling. And we thank you very, very much for that. Indeed, this fireside chat we had has further reinforced that critical role of innovation and technology in addressing Africa's educational challenges. And as we do know, we've also seen the potential of MOOCs, micro-credentials, micro-degrees, as we call it, emerging technologies like AI that can help us to transform our capacity development initiatives. In fact, this cannot in any way be overemphasized. As many of us do know, the African Development Bank remains very, very committed to leveraging this type of transformative tools like edX and all what it offers to align with our development goals. Today's discussion has also helped to illuminate our pathways to expand our educational access on the continent, which is one of the key areas where the continent is lagging. But it has also highlighted the power of collaboration, the power of partnership in shaping the future of learning in Africa. Let me also express my high appreciation to all the participants. I know you come from different countries. For some of you, it's late where you are, but you still find time to connect. Thank you very much. And the pertinent questions and contributions you made has also, these have all made the discussion to be really interesting. We appreciate your very engaging participation, which demonstrates the collective commitment that we all have, that we all need to drive sustainable change that we need, especially from the education and learning perspectives. So as we move forward, we want to continue to seize the opportunities that are presented through these innovative approaches to empower Africa's workforce for the digital age. I'll also want to encourage all of us to continue these conversations within our network and within our institutions. Let it not just end on this platform. Let's continue the conversation on the different platforms that we have. Together, we definitely can make education accessible, we can make it relevant, and we can make it impactful for all African countries. Let me also thank our colleagues from the IET, from the Secretary General's office, and also from interpretation. Thank you very much. If I may want to just mention you, Tanya from IET, we really appreciate your effort. Thank you for helping us to have a seamless connection throughout the course of this conversation. Many thanks also to our PISA colleague, Teresa. We really appreciate your time and your support. And to our interpreters who continue to help us to hear ourselves loud and clear, despite speaking different languages. We thank you very much, Florent, Lamine, Roja, and other colleagues. Thank you so much. And for our panelists, especially Sheila, who came in to have a discussion of the presentation, we really thank you so much too for your time. And thanks also to my colleagues at the African Development Institute. Dr. Namau Alolo is the one really leading this Leading Edge series. Thank you so much for all the times that's gone into making this happen. Thank you to Kamaria Badiru in the front office of the director, who's also doing a lot of heavy lifting. Justin Kofi Aya, thank you also for your support in making all of this happen. Fatah Anis Fal, who is working directly with Dr. Alolo to make this happen. Thank you also very much for all your contributions and support. Colleagues, other colleagues that I perhaps missed your names, my apologies, Ibrahim, Zuz, Dr. Adeleke Salami, all of you, all my colleagues in ICA, thank you very much for your support. So as we then move forward, I want to thank all of us once again. We look forward to seeing you yet in another Leading Edge Insight series that will be coming out very soon. Don't miss it, I would say. Our next session is going to be really doing it differently. And we really hope that you will join us then. We want to make teaching, we want to make learning a lifelong skill. We want to ensure that we continue to bridge the divide, we continue to bridge the gap, which we see that is very common in most of the societies where we live. So once again, Professor Agarwal, we thank you so much. And to all colleagues, I say thank you so much. I hand you over to Dr. Namawu Alolo.
Okay, thank you, Eric. I think you've let the cat out. Next, Dr. Agawal has really set the stage and challenged us. So our next leading edge series, Inside series, we are going to actually have, in addition to the presentation, to have practical skills, because he says that we have to learn. We have to learn throughout our lives. So we are going to do things a bit different. So don't miss it. Join us as we retool and reskill to embrace the 21st century. Thank you, Prof. Gawal. So on this note, we will close and reconvene at our next LEE series. Thank you to everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Alolo, and thank you, everyone. Have a very good afternoon, good evening.
Thank you all very much for a great session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anant. Very grateful.
Thank you, Sheila. Merci bien.